For the annotation for the primary source, if you've already used a quotation from the primary source in the secondary source annotation, you can copy and paste that one into the primary source. You will likely have several quotations from the primary source or each primary source. In fact, I'm requiring that you use at least 3 quotations from primary sources. I would, for every secondary source quoted, and you're required to quote at least 3, I would quote the primary source or primary sources an equal amount of times, because your job is to connect evidence from the secondary sources to each short story, or the single short story if that's what you're doing. Notice that we write about literature in present tense, so it's harder to do than it sounds, so make sure that present tense is used for everything. You don't necessarily have to color code your quotations to demonstrate your understanding of signal phrases and parenthetical citations, but it is nice. Jackson is the parenthetical citation here because that's what's first in the works cited, and there is no page number because this was an online version from here and it didn't have page numbers. So I could click on that even and show you. That's one reason I like for the URLs to be working links. That way I can see exactly which source you're using. If you've been given an online source, then check Blackboard for those citations, because I have probably put them there just for you, and they are a gift that saves you some time figuring out how to do the works cited for them. All right, email me if you have any questions. Again, just like with the secondary sources, you're going to for the primary sources, those are the short stories, do a summary, then demonstrate how you're going to use bits of the source in your essay, and then finish with sort of a connection back to the thesis. What is your argument? So if you need to look back at your thesis, that's always a good idea. When you've written a quotation, then look back at your thesis, and then all you need to do is literally write down the connection that you think is obvious to your thesis, but your reader's not going to find it obvious. So it's always better to explain too much than not enough. So that is a good practice. After everything you quote, see how you can explain to the reader how it's connected to the point you're making, that argument, that thesis. If your thesis is not arguable, it's just a statement of fact, then it's not a thesis. A thesis must be arguable. So keep working on it, and let me know if you have questions.